welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, the President, Founder, and Chief Listening Officer here at our network. Our show today is the United Kingdom News and Culture. Let's bring out our panel. Joining us from the great state of Texas, it's DIANN FLOYD BOEHM, recently just completing an Amazon Live. Can't wait to hear about it. Welcome, DIANN.
Hi, Dr. JACALYN.
Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
And we have the queen and king of the news. I can't wait. We are being joined today by Helena Chard. Hello, welcome.
Hi, lovely to see you as always.
Nice to have you here. And also Mr. Ian Pelham Turner is with us.
Oh,
yay!
Welcome.
You made it.
Well, you don't know. I will tell you later, but goodness me, I mean, literally, I haven't even had time to set up the, let me just bring that up a little bit higher so as I'm not cutting my head off. There we go.
Now you can
and relax.
He always has his arm up and looks very relaxed.
To let you into a secret, all the viewers, about 60 seconds ago, I was ringing Helena to say I can't get in, and there's something wrong with my Google account again. So I've managed to fix my Google account. How I've done that, I do not know. But I've managed to fix my Google account, and I am back on the wonderful Dr. JACALYN and everybody else's show.
All right, fabulous. We're glad that you're here. And Simon MacDonald, our dear friend, has the day off. So we look forward to having him come back. He's actually going to do a whole show about the fisheries to give us the inside scoop and what's going on in the industry. So I look forward to that. So DIANN and I were speaking backstage that we were really hoping the two of you came here because we weren't up with the latest news. So I was busily looking through various websites. What's hot? What's going on in the UK?
Oh, there's lots going on. In fact, you would have seen something that's not so great because the front page is not too jolly today. And it's about a young shooting, but we won't talk about that. I think we should talk about some positive things. So there's lots of lovely royal things going on. The Duchess of Cambridge, Kate Middleton, recently arrived in Balmoral to spend summer with her children and husband, and obviously Her Majesty the Queen, and excited passengers on just a standard, economy flight. We're excited to see her turn up with two of her children, with Charlotte and Louis. So she literally just took a standard flight, and it was apparently the whole flight was absolutely buzzing because they couldn't believe that they were on board. It must have been such good fun. I wish I'd been there. And obviously there is a ruling as well. I think Duke of Cambridge and Prince George, they travelled separately. And that's something that they have to do because obviously if anything was to happen, the future King of England, etc., they have to be on different travel forms. But that would have been absolutely wonderful. So it's great. I mean, there's so much going on. I mean, it's also a very, I have to say, Meghan and Harry's coming up in the news a lot at the moment. And we have heard, I think, isn't it? There's the new Spotify thing, I think, that Meghan's doing, archetypes, and there's lots of thoughts about that. And I know that she keeps on using the fact that she's a duchess, I think, in it. That's coming up a lot in the news too. But we're excited that they're coming to London pretty soon. I know I think it's September the 5th. I don't think it's necessarily for a jolly with the family, which is sad, but I know that they're going to be doing an event in Manchester, which is for young leaders across 190 countries all meeting together. One Young World, it's called. So they're flying in for that charity event. And also then they're going on to do another event, Invictus Games event in Germany. And they're delighted to be visiting London. But unfortunately, there's always this sort of negative scenario that goes hand in hand because there's court cases going on, etc. But I do hope that, they do get to meet up. But we're just pleased that they're coming over. And also they've renewed their lease on a Frogmore cottage, which is also good. So it makes you sort of think as well with Duke and Duchess of Cambridge moving into their new cottage around the corner, that I think there may be some moves to camaraderie and getting together. That's what I think. What do you think, Ian? What are your thoughts?
There's a question and a half. I think, are they liable to bump into each other at the village store? Maybe. Will the children go to a similar school? Perhaps. Will they talk to one another? I hope so. The reality at the moment is we need a very strong royal family right now. And quite honestly, it gives us something else to talk about other than this ridiculous election process that's going on to find the new leader for the Conservative Party at the moment, that is now becoming stranger by the day.
Yes.
Are you going to leave us with that?
Like, tell us more. Y'all do it differently than we do.
Well, basically at the moment, that they seem to be making more and more outrageous promises. They're trying to scoop up votes. But basically, how we get our next prime minister is through the election of the leader of the Conservative Party, which in Britain, and whoever becomes leader of the Conservative Party automatically, because the Conservatives are in power, will then become prime minister as well. But they've been making more and more outrageous comments at the moment about what they're going to do, how they're going to spend money, how they're not going to spend money, how they're going to save the country, how they can't save the country, how they're going to bring us into even more outrageous debt than we are right now. And I think we could be racing ahead of the American debt before too long, and the way things are going. So it was an interesting thing to sort of see. And can I just sort of say one thing? So something I saw, but I don't know whether it was a spoof or not. But I was just going through some emails last night, and someone had sent me a lady commentator in America, I think, who was supposed to be interviewing President Biden, and it showed Biden fast asleep. Now, was that spoof, or was that something that was quite true?
I think there have been a number of Sleepy Joe sightings. Right, Diane?
Yes, there has. I'm sad to say. I don't know why they're not giving him vitamin B shots. It wakes you up.
But don't tell me he actually appeared on television fast asleep. Surely
So
not.
sad. It's
That
very
sounds
sad.
spooky, doesn't it?
I've seen a number of different times when he fell asleep during something.
Standing up, giving a speech. Yes,
You're joking.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that one.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
sad.
Now, I have to give a disclaimer. That's what we saw. We don't
Allegedly.
necessarily know. Right.
Yes, thank you.
I know. Well, I must admit, when I saw that, so I didn't want to cut into Eleanor's news, but when I saw that, and I'm thinking, well, what could go wrong in Britain? And the only thing I know about these two contenders, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, is that neither of them will be asleep.
There you go.
We do have a comment from Adam. I see all political views as excuses, which is not the best view moving forward. Ooh. Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, I think politics is all about pleasing the public and keeping the politician in power. That's probably how I would describe politics today. And so the reality with politics is that a lot of the time, decisions will be made not because they may be the right decisions for the country, but they are the right decisions to encourage power. And when until very recently, Rishi Sunak was the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He's the guy with the checkbook for the British government. We are facing all sorts of crises, including one of cost of living. And Rishi Sunak didn't want to give us any more money, in the way of, or any realistic money in the way of paychecks to actually help lower paid people with the cost of living. And he wanted to leave it until 2024. And it was then said, by cynical people like myself, the reality why he wanted to keep it till 2024 was that he wanted to give giveaways just before the next general election, in the hope that the Conservative Party could stay in power. So, with politics, a lot of the time, what seems to be happening in politics these days, in my view, from the British government, is we've had a lot of knee-jerk reaction. And a lot of the time, we should have been much more on the ball when it comes to assessing the future, rather than worrying about the image or the branding of a party itself. And I think, quite honestly, the government that we currently have and that Boris Johnson is leaving, in reality, for me, it was much more about trying to get Brexit to work, because that was his big priority. That's what he won his 80-seat majority on. And lo and behold, as I thought, and a lot of other people who were totally against Brexit, that they would make a mess of it, and they duly have. And so, we're in a situation now where the only way, for example, we can get any trade agreements with America right now, because Biden won't give us a trading agreement till we sort out Northern Ireland, which is an impossibility, with the way things are going at the moment. We can only do deals with individual states. And so we started doing trade deals with individual states rather than USA.
That's amazing.
Wow.
We'll trade deal with you.
Yeah.
As if I have power.
What do you need? We'll make a trade.
We'll make a trade. Come on, England. I find that, it is so interesting. You made a great comment, Ian, or point about wanting to stay in power. And it's all about, to me, if I understood it correctly, it's about today, where it's such a far cry from Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan days, don't you think?
I think, I worked during Margaret Thatcher's era as well. So she was always one very astute to getting a picture across, the power of pictures and photography. Her image was across as well. She was very astute, as was Reagan, and it's what we call show ponies. They were both show ponies in their both political eras, and areas of what they were. But at the same time, they got things done. Nowadays, at the moment, and this is just my personal view, is the reality is that the British government, Boris Johnson, has let us down so badly the talk of the steamy, as we would say, is that Liz Truss, the lady, is destined to become the next Prime Minister of Great Britain. And it's Boris Johnson who is behind this whole scenario. He wants Liz Truss to win. And it is said, and this is where the Machiavellian style of politics that we have in this country works, is that he then feels she is the weakest candidate to actually go into the next general election, and she may lose. And if she loses, then the Conservative Party will invite Boris Johnson to come back to be leader again, because he's a winner when it comes to politics. Now work that one out if you can.
What a puzzle.
It's
kind of sad.
It's very much a game, you know.
Yeah,
the whole thing. And it's very much about them all wanting to stay in power, and they don't want to lose their seats, and they don't want. And it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's not the everyday Joe Bloggs that's choosing who's going to be the next prime minister.
Right.
So we're all sat here listening to all this argy-bargy, and it is nonsense. But, you know, it's quite obvious to me that Liz Truss is going to be the obvious person they use. And I say that, give her the platform, because in a funny kind of way, she is almost like, I would say, the typical person that votes and wants to keep their money, you know, and not lose their money. She's almost like their daughter. So she is there, and they will vote for her as well, and be behind her in a sense. But also, she didn't have we always have this kind of like Eton, you know, boys club and everything. And of course, she comes from a different background where she's had more of a not public school upbringing, more of a, you know, state school. And that will suit the everyday person. And then you can see Boris sort of like flying through in a couple of years' time. I mean, it's complete madness. It's games. I mean, to me, politics is not my thing. It infuriates me because it is games. If we actually had people that really worked hard and worked for the people, then I think probably I'd pay more attention. But it's just infuriating for me anyway. My thoughts.
It does sound like a lot of games, but I am no expert like Mr. Pelham Turner is.
Yeah.
By the way, we have a comment from our dear friend Roland, who is in his motorhome continuing to drive through Europe, and he writes, "My dear British friends, cheers from France."
Oh, that's
Hi,
so sweet.
Roland. Cheers.
If he's coming across the Britain, could you just send a message back that we like wine?
There you have it. Wine and smoked salmon for Ian. So while we're on the topic of food, which, you know, we love to talk about, just a quick digression. We have a guest coming up on the power of etiquette and manners with Philip Sykes. I love Philip. And the guest is the owner of the English Cream Tea Company. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
I have heard of them, yes. Yes.
Jane, and I think her last name is Mallion.
Okay. I don't know the person, but we know because there's always well, first of all, you can test them. I think I've told you this question before, but the best way to find out whether anybody knows about afternoon tea is to ask them what's the difference between afternoon tea and high tea.
I asked Philip that, by the way.
And did he know?
He did know, but you know what? I'm going to bring you back for a second. I think you took it a step further. I think there's something else, another kind of tea that I don't know.
There's Royal Afternoon Tea.
Yes.
And Royal Afternoon Tea should contain Battenberg cake.
That's right.
Yes.
Because for the life of me, and Helena may remember, I know the history of Battenberg cake, but there was another significance to it as well. And I think it was, if I remember rightly, it was Queen Victoria's granddaughter. I think I'm right. Or it was a relative of Queen Victoria who married he was a sailor, he was a captain in the Navy from that country, and then came to Britain, and then because of different things that the Queen came to visit them. They were of humble means, but they brought across the Battenberg cake. The Battenberg is the four princes of Battenberg. And it's a special wedding cake that was produced for the royal wedding and then introduced to Queen Victoria. And then it became really the centre of Royal Afternoon Tea.
Sounds like someone's drilling. Thank you.
I love
really
that. But for the listeners who don't know, could you remind them what you were going to say regarding just high tea in general? The difference, like, have you gone to tea or high tea?
So everyone, because a lot of the times people say, you know, we're going for high tea, and they expect to get a you know, response from me, oh, how jolly. But high tea, but basically afternoon tea was served on tables that are really sort of knee height, because that's what the gentry had in their homes. So that was how afternoon tea was first served. And then high tea was in a much higher table, and that was the servants' tables in the servants' quarters. And so high tea was really the working class version of afternoon tea, and that's the difference.
You know, I'm so glad to know this, because in different countries, hotels and so forth make a big deal of come have a high tea, and I never would have known that. But you always knew you needed to wear your hat, practice putting your pinky up, so that you had the cup correct, right? Because you wanted your etiquette correct.
It's like that all the time.
And I just want to share that according to what I learned from Philip, he did a whole show about the history of tea. That was started back then because teacups didn't have a handle. So that was how you would balance it, by putting your finger out. But now the proper way is, when there is a handle, you go in like this and grab the handle.
Who knew? And
so then just to test Philip.
I just want to go like that.
Okay, let me write it down. What are you going to say?
Ask him, is there such a thing as a left-handled teacup?
Okay, I'm writing it down. A left-handled teacup. And the answer is
Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Because it just spins around.
No.
This one is baffling me.
If we have a teacup and we just turn it around.
No. Very quickly. A left-handed teacup was produced at the last part of the 19th and early 20th century. And it was for gentlemen. Basically, in the late part of the 19th, early 20th century, I don't know whether you've ever seen, not Clouseau, oh God, it's gone out of my head for a second. A very famous, the Belgian detective. And
Pink Panther? Who?
Okay. Well, Poirot, if you've ever seen pictures of Poirot, he had a wax mustache.
Oh, yes, I know you're talking about.
Yes.
So basically, the left-handed teacup was produced for men with a waxed mustache, because in the inner lip of the teacup was an extra lip where the mustache was kept dry from the tea.
Interesting.
Wow, that's so cool.
Isn't that funny?
And that seriously, and I actually saw one once, because when I first started in photography, there was this wonderful gentleman called George Cate. Now, this is going back to the 1960s, and George was in his 80s at that time, a former photographer, and used to come into the darkroom and tell his stories. And then one day he laughed and he said, "Have you ever seen a left-handed teacup?" And everybody said, "Well, you know, don't be so silly, George. There's no such thing." And the following day he brought in his left-handed teacup, and it literally had a lip, a cover on the inside of the cup, so that the mustache would rest on the cup, and so they wouldn't get their waxed mustaches wet.
I love that. I'm going to look for those in the antique store next time I'm in England. That's amazing.
It's so practical also.
Yeah.
Let me just ask you, does who knows what Her Majesty the Queen likes to have with her tea?
Oh, I just saw this somewhere in the
Biscuits.
news. Peanut butter? No.
Cookies.
No. So this is something she's had since being a toddler. And actually, this came via Darren McBrady, who's the Queen's private chef for years and years, and she loves to have just jam sandwiches. And the jam that she prefers is from the fruits that are grown at Balmoral Castle, so where she is at the minute. So it's like strawberry jam, and she's had it almost every day, really, since being a toddler. So it's something really basic, but actually
I love
really
that.
Yeah,
I love that it's her comfort food.
yeah.
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 I love
So
that.
I just want to talk about the tea and the comfort food. We had on the Power of Etiquette Matters information about a tea party, for example, and then the afternoon tea. And in every case, it involves a lot of food. There's a lot of cakes and sandwiches. And I'm thinking, how can everyone be so thin? I don't understand. And I asked Philip, and he said, because you do a lot of walking. Is that true?
No. but Helena very kindly bought me as a birthday present this year afternoon tea at Fortnum and Mason's. And now Helena can tell the tale about how many times did we fill up the holder for afternoon tea again. Tell us in your own words, Helena, how many times did we reorder afternoon tea?
We just, it is amazing. It took me a while to realize that actually, if you are going to order true afternoon tea, it will be replenished whenever you want it. And I guess in a funny kind of way, and depending on where you're having afternoon tea, I mean, Fortnum Mason is very, very good. You have very good quality afternoon tea. And I can't quite remember him, but I think we reordered plates, I think 3 times, didn't we? Which is absolutely dreadful, really, when you think about it.
So each of us had the container, that holds the 3 layers. Each of us had that. And we each had 3 lots of those.
Come on, no,
I love it.
And as soon as we realised we could replenish it, and first of all, we felt a bit embarrassed to ask for it, and then the waiter came up and said, "It's quite normal. It's quite normal."
So tell us what was on the trays. What did you have?
So you obviously have the sandwiches without the crusts, and it's salmon and cream cheese and coronation chicken. I mean, really, whatever you want. Cucumber. I'm just trying. I mean, so many different cakes. I can't even explain.
So if I remember, the cakes are at the top. The scones are in the middle section, and then the sandwiches are at the base. And so, and as I say, I mean, in the end. Well, I think we were the first to get there and the last to leave on this afternoon tea session.
And don't forget the champagne, the bubbles as well.
Right.
No, absolutely. And it was just like, probably, I mean, we couldn't believe it. We thought, because if I was honest, after the first round of afternoon tea, I thought, well, I still feel hungry actually, but I didn't say anything. And then they came over and they said, "Well, do you want to replenish?" Yes, we do.
But there's no walking around. How are you like burning off these calories?
No,
You talking.
You can't eat like that every day, can you? Let's be honest.
Yes, but you say that. You say that, and what was the disastrous thing we did at the Athenaeum Hotel when Prince George was being born? What did we do, Helena?
Oh, we had lots of, there was PR coming in. We had loads of, there was lots of talks happening. It was fantastic. We had the newspapers. It was a really great setup, but we had to have afternoon tea with every new person that came in. So it was on and on and on and on. But actually, you did loads of the eating. I just couldn't.
Well,
never seen you eating very much. I have to be honest.
Okay, well, thank you for saying that. I mean,
Loads of eating.
Loads of eating. I love it.
we did 68 interviews in 6 weeks,
Oh
So
my
that-
goodness.
eating 68 afternoon teas. That's what it meant. And so before that time, my favorite meal, if you ever asked what my favorite meal was, it was afternoon tea. If you'd asked me after that period, you know, I never wanted to see an afternoon tea again. About 4 months later, this very nice lady, I'd helped her out at some point. She was a very wealthy lady. And she said, "Oh, come to lunch with me," and you know, just as a thank you. So you know, I travelled down to her, and she said, "I've done something very special for you." I said, "Oh yes," and she said, "I've been to Fortnum and Mason." So I thought, "Oh, okay, you know, this might be sort of something." And she said, "I've got all the cutlery, all the crockery," and she said, "When are we going to have afternoon tea?" So I thought, "Oh, how wonderful!" I thought.
Thank you. I've been waiting for this moment. Now, a question I have, because Philip brought this up on the show, is it scone or scone or something else?
No. It can be pronounced either way. But what you should ask him is, if you're in Devon, is it the cream first and then the jam first and then the cream? See if he knows that one.
Okay.
That's
I'm writing that.
Poor old
Cream
Poor old
jam.
Philip. I mean,
Poor
come
old
on.
Philip.
See, I'm going down an email from Philip saying,
Yeah.
"What are you doing?"
You know what?
It
I
was the
think
talk of the show today.
No, wait, is it scone or scone or something else?
No, it's both. It can be pronounced either way. If you're posh, not like me, if you're
Okay.
posh, then it's scone. If you're brought up in the streets, you know, then it's scone.
That's funny.
It just sounds like you're having fun all the time over there.
Oh, this one hilarious laugh all day long, I tell you.
That's what it seems like.
How about you? I mean, do you afternoon tea, Diane, JACALYN? Do you have partake, or is it something that you have? Egg and cress, maybe.
When I was in Dubai, afternoon tea all the time. You knew you were going, and so you starved all morning so that you could indulge. And it was set up. It sounds like they set it up properly, but in the advertisements they would call it high tea, and it was always fun to go and see how the different. So over there, everything happens in a hotel because they have the license for champagne. So it's always fun to see how the Burj Al Arab would do it and compared to the Ritz and so forth. And it was just really, really fun. Back home here now in Texas, you know, people are always running around and doing things. But actually, I'm going to start a tea time once a month with a friend of mine. So I might be calling you for tips, and everyone has to wear, it'll be a ladies' tea time, and everyone has to wear a hat and they have to wear gloves, and we're going to do the big formal proper thing. It's proper dress, proper attire.
We should perhaps come to Texas, Helen and I, for a week, and we can do a royal week in Texas.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? And see the new dinosaur print that Helena was talking about.
Fabulous. Now, is that appropriate to say that's quite posh, Diane?
I would think so.
Okay, there you have it.
I'm slowly helping bring hats back to church. So,
Oh,
I don't know about y'all, but and I'm sorry, my Texas accent came out. But people, it doesn't matter what you wear. You just come and you praise and learn. But for me personally, I love that you dress properly for different things. And I think it's important to teach etiquette to young children, including my kids. So, you know, my son got his first little teeny tiny suit with the short pants when he was 1 year old, right? So,
More promotion for Philip Sykes in the British School of Excellence. I love
there
it.
you go. But you never know where you're going to be invited somewhere. I mean, it was really sad when I read in the newspaper that a tennis group, I believe I have it correctly, they were invited to the White House. The people did not look up what the etiquette was when you go to the White House to meet the First Lady and the President. And this was during Obama's time. And they weren't able to meet because they all had on flip-flops. I'm like, hello. And you're supposed to have closed, yes. And you're supposed to have closed-toed shoes and dress properly. You do not wear shorts. I mean, can you imagine that?
No, I just have a comment about flip-flops. I have to put it out there. If you don't have nice feet and you're not taking care of them, please cover your toes up. Nobody wants to see those toe jams. Nobody wants, I don't care if you're at the beach, put them away. I don't know. They're bad for your feet anyway. They're bad for your back. There's no support. That's just my tip for the day.
I agree.
I thought you were saying put your feet away, but you're actually saying
I think both of them. If you don't have nice feet, we don't need to see them, right? We don't. Oh, something worse.
So in England, there's some other news going on, I'm sure.
There is. Do you know, actually, well, we know that there's a 25-year anniversary coming up very soon.
Yes.
The very Miss Princess Diana. I mean, everyone's always talking about her, and she's in everyone's mind, you know. I have to say, for me as well, on that terrible day when she passed, when it came on the news, it was something like, I don't know, 4 a.m. I can't remember. I'd always remember that moment. But there's lots of, I mean, because of the 25-year anniversary, there's a huge amount of material on TV at the minute, and everyone's making it into this quite, I find it really sad. I mean, rewinding a little bit, what I discovered and didn't realize is that there's a journalist called Martin Bashir. And as far as I'm concerned, he's very much, along with parts of the BBC, you know, you can always blame him and the way they tried to get this documentary with Princess Diana all those years ago, which led to really her downfall, I believe. So I believe, that's my opinion. So at the moment, there's lots of things on TV where people are talking about, oh, you know, she was bumped off, she was this, it was that, it was, you know, not. And I think it genuinely is just watching this footage coming out, which is all sort of a bit, you know, it's very dramatic and it's got the music to make it all mysterious and everything. But nobody wants to think that Princess Diana, who was this, you know, amazing person who had a huge platform, everyone felt that they knew her and she was a friend. You know, no one wants to think that she died in a car crash, because it was a bit too ordinary. But there's a huge amount going on. I mean, there's so much PR around it. I mean, there's even an opera at the moment that's out, and it's about Princess Diana and Dodi Al-Fayed's love affair, told on the stage, and it has actually been shown already in, I want to say, Abergavenny. It's the place where I think Duke and Duchess of Cambridge stayed there for 3 years when he was working for Air Ambulance. Abergavenny, is that right? I don't know. Anyway, but it was launched there, and it's now on stage. I mean, the person that wrote the opera is a real, you know, really loves the royal family, and it's done in a very sensitive way. I haven't seen it. I want to see it. It's quite an interesting one. So there's lots of different things like that are going on around this 25-year anniversary. But you know, I think I don't really speak to that many people, I have to say, who everyone loved her. Everyone loved her, and she's it's quite a hole it's left. I know that I think Ian, I think you may have a different stance on what I'm saying.
No, I think, you know, the reality was that there are still to this day many unanswered questions about the death, and was it meant to be or not? You know, I used to get different people coming up with different thoughts on the subject. And I think the reality was, I mean, the strangest thing for me was I knew she had died because I was warned about midnight that she was already dead, and they didn't release it till 4 in the morning. And I was married at the time, and we were packing our bags to go to Florida on our holiday. And the phone was ringing, and I thought, if I pick up the phone, that's it. My holiday is dead, because obviously the media knew before anybody else, to prepare things. So we didn't answer the phone because we thought we must have our holiday as well. And we flew into Tampa. And as we were coming down the runway to go to pick up our car at Tampa, these TV crews were running up the ramp as we were going down, and I thought we'd cut into someone's shot. So we moved right to the very, very side of the ramp and let them pass. And they weren't coming to pass; they were coming to film me. And my agent had sold my rights to Good Morning America for the funeral, and so they'd come to actually do an interview with me, a prelim interview with me, before Good Morning America on the day of the funeral. And it was one of those most bizarre things to actually sort of do a holiday. And thank goodness, because the only thing I was really worried about was I didn't have a dark tie or a white shirt or anything, because I just had holiday clothes. So we had to rush out, and we couldn't find a black tie anyway. So we got a dark tie and a white shirt. But I thought, well, there's no point in me getting, what Americans call pants, what we call trousers. And so I had my Bermuda shorts on, and I was just hoping and praying that they didn't do a full length of me.
Did you have flip flops on? Please tell us you did not. Did you have flip flops on?
There I was in my Bermuda shorts from the waist down. So I made the cameraman promise, please, for God's sakes, you see the predicament I'm in. Do not do a full length of me, And he duly obliged. They duly obliged. In fact, strangely enough, the presenter who was with me in Florida then asked me for my autograph, and he said I don't normally ask for autographs, because he said I meet a lot of stars. He said I don't normally ask for an autograph. But he said my girlfriend has specifically asked to get an autograph, your autograph. So it was a very weird time, and then coming back from it, obviously, we missed all the drama, of the funeral itself and the days beforehand. I think for me, Tony Blair, who was the Prime Minister at that time, probably handled it the very best way I think of. I mean, he was a Prime Minister that I think understood public opinion. And there was a lot of toing and froing with the royal family, because the royal family were at Balmoral and they wanted to protect the children as well. So I get that. But normally you would have thought in wartime, if it had been her mother and George VI, they would have immediately come from wherever they were back to London, to be seen as still as head of the royals. And the Queen, for some bizarre reason, decided just to remain in Balmoral. And it took a long time and several phone calls, as I understand it, from Tony Blair to persuade her to come back down before the funeral, so that she could be seen to be mourning at the same time. And one unknown fact, or I didn't know this till last night, was she has only bowed to one person in her entire life, the Queen. And she bowed as the cortege came past with Diana. And that's the only time that the Queen has ever bowed in her life.
Wow.
Oh,
So
amazing. All kinds of factoids here today. I love it. Well, this has been a great show. And by the way, how was your holiday? Did you have any fun?
Holiday?
25 years ago.
Oh, you were too quick for us.
Sorry, I'm with you now. So I thought you were referring now. You know, every day's a holiday now. Talking to you, as you know.
I'm not on holiday.
But no, I love Florida. Do you know what? I am a sucker for Universal Studios. I love Universal Studios.
It is fun.
I love SeaWorld. I like Ramu the killer whale. Shamu, isn't it? Shamu the killer whale. I love Disneyland. I love theme parks in that way. And if I ever could have a job in a theme park, that would be. I think I still would like to have it as my ideal job, because Universal Studios. I mean, you'd have to. Pull me kicking and screaming coming out of Universal. I just love those types of things, and so the Americans do it so well. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. I mean, we're actually apparently having a theme park, an American theme park, and I'm not sure which one it is, but I think it's got something to do with Universal in Britain. That is currently being talked about and built in 2 or 3 years' time. So guess where I'll be going.
Wow.
I love the kid in you. That's great.
Oh, Diane, I love it.
Yeah.
I adore things like that. And as I say, I used to go to all the attractions. So that was a great part of the thing. And a very quick story, because I was always looking for stories at that time as well. And staying at the hotel that I was staying at, I was talking, there was a couple at the next table to us one day, and this girl she was about 8 or 9 years of age, and she was doing drawings, but she was doing them in such a strange way. And I started talking, and the girl had had an accident. And the accident had caused her brain to turn in some way, and so when she went back to school after the accident, the teachers couldn't understand because her writing was upside down and back to front, and this was the cause of her brain injury. That and they said that one of the effects of meeting the dolphins in SeaWorld, if you could do a dolphin encounter, was that it's in some way it actually helped the brain, and surely it did. And so this girl had come to Florida to actually have to see whether working with the dolphins helped her to turn her brain around the other way, and it did. It actually helped her, so she could write the right way around. But then if you wanted her to, she could still do upside down, back to front. And the only way you could see what she'd written was in a mirror.
Wow.
So work that one out.
That's incredible, right?
Yeah, I love stories like that.
So,
Once again.
So in actual fact, that paid for the holiday. I sold it to 85 countries, that story.
You are it.
Those were the days. Those were the days in. When there was money.
When there was money, yes.
I have to say, from an opposite point of view, I sold meetings and events for years. And the pharmaceutical companies, when they were deciding where they wanted to go, and our other clients, they always wanted to do the trips in Disney World or Universal or in Orlando. It's like, oh, they're going to Orlando again. And I kind of got a little burn out of it. So I'm glad that you're still excited and loving it.
One day I'd love to go back to America again, I must admit, and because it is my favorite place of destination in the world in reality, and Hawaii, you know. You know, as you say, I mean, the for me, I hope I never lose the child in me as well.
One should not.
No, that's what keeps us young, I think, and curious. Children are always curious, and as adults, we just get so focused on what we're doing, we forget to explore and learn and laugh. Laughing is so important.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So we're actually out of time for today. Helena, is there anything else pressing that you want to share with the news?
I just think, no, I was just saying that was a lovely, lovely place to finish, because I think finding joy in whatever you do isn't that the way forward? If you're going to live your life, find joy, no matter what it is. And so that's what I feel.
I totally agree. I totally agree. All right. Well, I guess we're off to afternoon tea over here. No, I'm kidding. Diane, last words from you for today?
I loved what Helena said. Find joy in your life. Keep the kid in you, right, Ian? I totally believe in that.
Yeah, I do too. Diane, please tell us about your Amazon Live before we sign off.
Oh,
especially for people who don't even know what it is. Share a little bit.
Okay. So Amazon Live. So if your book's doing well, you have this opportunity. Someone contacts you and asks you if you'd like to do an interview with one of the Amazon influencers. And so my children's book, A Time to Fly, is doing really well. And it's really a book that's for all ages, because, you know, we all have those moments in life. We're not sure we want to open the door and discover what's behind it and fly and new opportunities. And the little bluebird is scared to leave his nest, and step by step the mama helps him till the little bird soars. And so on Amazon Live, it was really great. I got to share the story, and people, and you know, the gentleman interviewing me, Scott Smith, an influencer, he just did such a great job, and it was very comfortable and relaxed, and I feel very honored to have been on it.
Congratulations. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Considering the two people you have here, Ian and Helena, wow, what an interview that would be, right? To interview Diane about her book.
Yeah, I knew we would love it as well, but you know, very shortly, there's a few things we're having to get through at the moment, but once that's done, we're going to start our own shows again, called Royally Rich.
Oh, yay!
Yay! Excellent.
We will start having guests on as well, you know, via Skype as well. So yes, get your hats ready, ladies.
I have them.
I have them too. And I had the pleasure of being interviewed by the two of you. So thank you so much for that. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I want you to know I have my vintage gloves, my proper bags, my clutches to hold properly in the English manner. There you go.
Love.
All right. One question I have to ask before we sign off. So when I was in France, in Paris, they had at the restaurants, they had a little bench for your handbag. Do you have that there in London? So instead of putting your handbag on the floor, you would put it on this little chaise. No,
you have little hooks, which clips that you attach under the table. So then you'll put your handbag on it. I mean, goodness me, if you put your bag to the side on a bench, it would last 3 seconds. It will be gone.
It'll be gone when you grab it.
Well, here's the thing, though. When I used to use those hooks, this is when I was actually going somewhere and I wasn't behind the screen. My bags would be so heavy that they would pull the hook off and it would end up on the floor. So I used to have to sit with it on my lap. And then my boss said, maybe you should carry less in your bag. I was like, oh, well, there's that.
A woman's prerogative.
That's true. I love that.
There is a myth that it's very unlucky to put a handbag on the ground.
And it's dirty.
It's a myth, yeah.
But it and I forget who told me that, but it's gone out of my head who actually sort of told me about. But it's what we call an old wives' tale.
Yes.
and that it's very unlucky for women to put the handbag on the thing. And of course, if the Queen puts her handbag on the table, that means she wants to leave the room for me to go to the ladies.
Oh, very clever. What a polite way to make us. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, it's supposedly bad luck to put your handbag on the back of a door.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Perhaps we should do one sometime on the derivatives of old wives' tales.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun.
That would be fun. Let's
We
do
can
it.
compare them.
Where did they originally come from?
All right. Well, we're going to sign off for now. So thank you, everyone, for being here today. It was a lovely conversation, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. All right.
Okay,
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.